Our next element that we're going to talk about is cloning. Cloning is one of the most controversial elements of Photoshop because you can actually alter the image and make things that aren't there come into the image, or make things that are in the image disappear. And sometimes, from an artistic standpoint, that's fine. I want to show off my shots as an art, not necessarily a document of nature. Sometimes I want to just show an emotion. So here with the fox, I have this neat little moment, and foxes are always generally in this grassy habitat. And if you look down here, we've got a twig coming across his foot. And one of the places you're going to look is right there at this fox's foot because it's showing motion coming right at you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a background duplicate layer. So go up to layer, hit duplicate, and this is the layer that I'm going to work in to clone out that little piece of grass. So we zoomed in, hit control and click, and we can zoom up, and I want to get in really close on this bad boy so I can see everything. I want to see where the light is, I want to see where the fur is. So I went over here to my clone tool. When I select my clone tool, I want to have the hardness be pretty soft, actually, closer to about 33, maybe 50% on some, but right there is probably good. What I'm going to do is I want to make this stick right here disappear. So what I got to do is I've got to pick spots where the hair looks identical. The hardest part of this is doing the edges. So I'm going to hit the left bracket, bring it down, and I want to select this edge and bring it down here. So in order to do that, you hold down the Alt key and you get a bullseye. From your bullseye, you can then take and click, and that's where I'm going to clone from. So now if I move down and line it up, a few clicks here and it gets darker. Remember, we have it on a soft element, so every click makes it darker. The edge disappears. So I'm going to work inside the paw first, and I'm going to work on the inside out, and it's very small. You want to deal with small elements, you want to deal with small circles and work your way to big circles. So I'm taking this brown fur right here, I'm going to bring this down here, make that stick area go away. There's some spots right here up above that I want to make this go away, and you want it to be smooth. You can see right here it's not very smooth. So I'm going to take an area up here where the fur looks consistent and just smooth that over. We want you to not even tell that there was a grass blade in the way. So we're going to do that. It's very small, very gentle, and you want to find tones that are close to that area so it doesn't look obvious. It's all about being subtle. So you can take and you can mix and match your colors over. Since we're using a soft brush, it will go right over it, and it makes it look like it's almost not there. You can't do this in very large areas, that is, it will reduce a lot of your quality. You're going to end up with some soft areas because we're not taking the full pixels of these elements, we're taking just small amounts, adding them on top of each other to make things disappear. So we're going to go through that, take these out. Now the brown here doesn't match quite as well. We're going to take, there's this black gap here in the foot, so we got these hairs. You want to avoid repeating patterns. That's very important in cloning because it looks very obvious. So now I've got this light brown spot here, and it doesn't really match against that light black. So I'm going to take the black, I'm just going to make it fade in. And we got a spot right here. We're going to take that straight line that's kind of right here and move it up through. It doesn't quite match. So I'm going to hit Control Z, back up. If you hit Alt Control Z, backs it up one more time, even one more. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to try to get down this way. And all I want to do is I want to make that just look real. Make it look like there wasn't that stick in the way. So once you feel like you have your elements together and it doesn't look so bad, then zoom out. Now, zooming out, you could almost never tell that there's a stick in the way. Now if you're going to remove sticks, the thing that's really important is don't just cut the stick off at the edge of the foot. Oop. That looks really obvious. So what we want to do here is we're going to drag down here and we're going to move this stick So we're going to use the background and just remove the stick out just a little ways so you just can't tell it was there. And this is what's really important. With the Photoshop, you can see the color doesn't quite match 100%, so you want to be very soft, very delicate. You zoom out, there was no stick in the way, and that helps a lot. Now over on the left hand side we have a much bigger one. This is going to require a lot more work and take a lot longer than a video has, but taking the background, and controlling out one background element, you want to start dealing with much bigger sizes because we're trying to make a whole element look soft. So we're going to zoom up, and I always look for where is it going to be the toughest. Up here is going to be a nice edge that I'm going to have to work on. I need to find a flat area where those colors are pretty close, and you don't want your elements to repeat. So I'm going to take this spot right here and hold down hold down Alt to get my bullseye, click, and we're just going to try to make that disappear. So everywhere I see there's a transition between here and here, so I can select that whole area, copy over one more time. And then here's some things. We're starting to see this blob in here isn't very uniformly colored now. So I'm going to take a more uniform area and put it right on top. Try to make that subtly disappear. All about being subtle. So here's another spot. There's a harsh edge. You can see where that grass was sticking out. And this is a great part about Photoshop, is instead of going out and picking grass and fixing every single picture, I can go out and let nature be nature and spend a minute or so taking out the elements that are really distracting. So you back up, you can't even hardly tell that stick was up here, but now this maybe doesn't look as natural. So you got to really work at it. You got to really take your time and spend and see, and if you don't like it, remember you create a duplicate layer so you can back up. As you keep going, you can smooth out these edges so it doesn't look as bad. You can take your hardness and reduce that, especially with backgrounds. Having a very soft hardness can be pretty important. It makes it look nice and soft. So we're going to go over here, and that's just the basics of cloning. And cloning can really improve some of your images that you really couldn't help. Maybe that stick was in the way. Maybe there's that lady in the red coat in your foreground or your background, and you need to take her out. And instead of just pushing her over the bridge, you can clone her out with Photoshop, which is great. So that's the cloning tool in Photoshop.